about the Swiss Food Research Call 2020. During the next 45 minutes, we will try to give you a 360 degrees perspective of what is a Swiss Food Research Call and what are the benefits of it. And in a few moments, I also will introduce you to the speakers that I also welcome already. And before I do that, I'd like to just note a few rules for this session today. We kindly ask you, if you haven't done it already, to switch off your video. I think we leave the screen, sort of the stage, to the speaker. And we also muted you all because, yeah, we think it's easier to follow the speakers without, let's say, background noise from other participants. We will also record this session so that you can listen to it again and also to share it with all of the interested people that were not able to make it for this today's session. In the second part of this question and answer webinar, we will answer your questions, and thank you for everyone who has already sent in some interesting questions. We will answer them certainly later on. And for all of you who would like to ask questions during the session, please use the chat function of Zoom. If you are not yet acquainted with Zoom, then you will find the chat function if you pass the cursor on the screen, and in the lower middle section there is a little icon that says chat. If you click on it, then you are able to write a question to it. There might also be someone who would like to ask a question. Just give us a little sign also in the chat, and we will unmute you for your question if you prefer to do so. We are about 20 participants right now. I think we can start with the whole session. And before we start, I'd like to introduce myself as well. My name is Marina Helm-Romaniski, and I am part of the Swiss Food Research team, and I will be your host tonight of this webinar. And in the background, I also would like to thank Barbara Pokorny, who is also answering some answers or reacting to your chats, and she is sort of registering all the answers that come in so that we make sure we do not miss any answer that you are interested in. I also now would like to introduce the speakers, and I am really very, very happy that we could find two winners of last year's research call. That is Doris from Wood & Field and Cyril Hess from Lemna Pro. And I would like to start with you, Doris. What brought you here tonight?
I founded a startup called Wood & Field, and last year I applied for the Swiss Food Research Grant, and I was luckily one of the winners and had the chance to get a small research project funded.
Very nice. Yeah, I know that we will hear a bit more later. Yeah. And now, Cyril, about you. How comes you are here tonight?
For me, it's quite the same. I was very lucky to receive a Swiss Food Research Grant last year. And yeah, I will not spoil what my project is about because I'm going to talk about it later.
Okay, so you won't spare the airtime now, but you want to have it later. Very nice. Yeah, we're looking forward to hear from you as well. And let me also welcome Professor Dr. Krystof Denko. He's Professor for Food Structure Design and Process Innovation at the University of Applied Science in Bern. Krystof, what brought you here tonight?
Yeah, thanks, Marina. Hello, everybody. I'm a food engineer by heart, and doing lecturing and research for some years now at BFH in Zollikofen. And so my history is I first was several times applicant in the SFR program, research partner later, and also last year together with Doris Anne. And yeah, and last year and this year I'm also supporting the selection committee for this call.
Wow, so this is really great. So with you, we already have two parties or two stakeholders in this whole process. And it will be very interesting also to see your views on research calls. And I'm very pleased also to introduce you to Peter Braun. He's the CEO of Swiss Food Research. Peter, I would like to give you the word to introduce yourself as well as to talk about the Swiss Food Research Call and also about the benefits for applicants.
Yes, thanks a lot, Marina, and thank you to all the attendees and also to the participants to joining this webinar tonight, where we would like to take the opportunity to introduce the Swiss Food Research Call to you a little bit more in more detail. And I'm quite happy that so many people made it. Even so, I think you all are probably quite filled up with Zoom meetings and look forward to meet also people in person soon again. So Swiss Food Research, most of you know it. So our job is basically to transform ideas into implementation. So bridging innovations, that is our topic. Why we are doing this? Because we are basically passionate about innovation. But innovation is a tough subject. It starts with some ideas, and these ideas need to be nourished further to be developed into projects, and we are working along this entire pipeline. And as you all know, there are several funding tools and funding schemes available within Switzerland. But to fund ideas in a very early state, you hardly find any funding. And that's why we set up these research calls to help innovative ideas to develop those further and hopefully grow into larger projects. And to give you some metrics here, over the last years, we had over 100 projects reviewed, more than 60 projects funded. And each funding is about, on average, 10,000 Swiss francs. Some are a little bit less. And what is most important, 70% out of these fundings were continued. Why is that important? Because if you think about an innovation pipeline from idea to product, you have to make sure that the ideas are well selected, that they are nourished further and can develop, and hopefully be continued in a next level project. And we have supported more than 80 research projects which were funded either by InnoSwiss or BLW or other funding schemes, but the research calls really provided one of the basic elements for that.
Thank you very much, Peter. Can you also tell a little bit more about how you accompany applicants through the whole process and what are their benefits to the call?
So I will just take the opportunity to guide you through the research call a little bit in more detail. So what we look for are innovative ideas in an early state. And so we would like to help you to validate your idea, to prove the concept, and also to check different possibilities, how to pursue this idea further, and very important to find also the right partners for a later project. So we can support you with the network which we have to find the appropriate partners, whether it be from research or from industry. We also have a committee who is selecting the ideas, who is judging the ideas, and who you will have the chance to discuss with in a review meeting in case your idea got selected. What is very important if we talk about ideas and disclosing ideas is the confidential treatment of your idea. I think that is a very important subject, and many people are a little bit hesitating if they hear there is a private organization and they have to disclose their ideas. That's totally normal that you have certain concerns, but we mitigate, and we mitigate through, first of all, NDAs, which we have amongst the different experts. So we keep your idea confidential. But what is, I think, much more important than any other contract is the special situation what we have in Switzerland. We all know each other more or less. And this means if we would not treat it in a confidential manner, you would learn about this immediately, and all our job and all our trust would be gone within no time. So that is the best insurance what you can have. And to support you in your idea, you can have different fundings between 5,000 to 10,000, depending on the type of proposal. So maximum you can get 10,000 Swiss franc. And this is always going towards a research partner. So very important if you develop your idea, being it a startup, being it an SME, being it a company, or being it a person from research who would like to test something, you always need to have a research partner to carry this further.
Very good. Yes, confidentiality certainly is one of the most important parts in trusting those processes. And I think your next slide, you will be describing a little bit more about the process in terms of timing as well.
Yeah. And with that, I also would like then to finish this introductory session on the research call. So it's a very lean process. You have to submit your project proposals. It's about a 2-pager. Describe your idea, the potential application, why is it unique, what makes it novel, and also think about the potential USPs you may have once your project was developed in a successful manner, and you will have the chance to present your proposal to the experts, and you will have the chance for a 40-minute intensive discussion and getting feedback also in terms of how to develop this maybe further, getting some advices for some future funding possibilities. And that's it basically. So it's a very lean process. You can write up these 2 pages, submit it, and we will have a pre-evaluation, and then followed on that, you will be notified whether your proposal is accepted for the next level. So it's a 2-stage process. First is checking of your proposal, seeing whether you are eligible, whether you meet the criteria. And the second would be then to be invited for a review meeting. The submission deadline is June 15th. The notification about acceptance is beginning of July. And if you are invited, you would be happy to come for a review meeting mid to end of July. We will do it in a virtual mode this time, so we do it also via Zoom. And then basically the project is granted, and you will receive the money. So it's as simple as that.
Thank you very much. It sounds really like a very simple process. And maybe can you spend one word on the criteria, on the eligibility? Yeah,
so very important, of course. This is something what we do as an association to our members, to our partners. You have to be a member of Swiss Food Research to be eligible to receive the money. And the money always goes to the to a research partner. So we cannot give the money to the to an individual company, but I think that is something what you know already. We don't have funding schemes for this in Switzerland. We have some exceptions, but in general, we don't have such funding schemes in Switzerland.
Thank you very much, Peter. You just mentioned research institutes, which that leads me also to our next speaker. And now here's a question for you, Krystof. You have a double role, as you already introduced yourself. So let me know that, or can you let our participants know how research institutes participate in projects and what their benefits are through a Swiss food research call?
Yeah, of course I will. I mean, for us, it's we are all interested in innovation in facing challenges. So whenever there is somebody around with a question that has to be answered, is of course very interesting for us. And then we have a very low threshold entry into a project. You don't have to discuss around how to organize it, because there's no money around usually, or very often there are startups involved. So this is a low threshold entry. You can see if you fit together, if all the partners have the same understanding and and could work together. So this is very, very important for us. And of course, we can together develop further, or depends on the status, the project and get it to a new level. This is interesting for us to do this work, because we have quite some experience and can all let this go into this collaboration. And on the other hand side, also the partner, he puts in his point of view, and it's always interesting to merge these two perspectives. And of course, the last point, I mentioned it in the beginning. Usually we have technology-based projects. So every project, when we have to do experiments, of course, we have expenses, and we have to cover them. At least for material and chemicals, we usually invest more hours than covered by the amount that is by the funds. So this is not the critical problem, but all the other costs we have to cover.
I see. So for you, the benefit is, on one hand, the assessment of a team with whom to work, with internal and external members, and also to have, let's say, or see applications of the research that you have done already.
Yeah, this all fits into a new project. I mean, we have the first principle is confidentiality, so we cannot take aspects from other projects, but we have experience and have developed a good idea what could be successful and what could not be successful. That's what I mean. So it's as Peter said, also for us, it's very, very important to keep all things confidential, but it's also one of our targets to develop projects to such a level that we see it's sufficient innovation. So they are on a sufficient innovation level for the next step, maybe to apply for money for a larger project.
Yeah, that's really, let's say, a good start for a bigger project. As you said, that the threshold to enter is pretty low in this call situation. Yeah. Now, coming to your second role tonight, you mentioned already that you are in the committee for the evaluation of projects. What do you specifically search in an application that makes you vote for it?
Maybe first of all, it's about clearness. So you have a problem or a challenge, and you have to clearly describe what it is. So we need to understand where do we start and where do we want to go to. And the second, what I appreciate is to see a clear and a clear and identified solution. So it's not sufficient to say we will solve it, but there has to be an idea how this could be solved. So otherwise, there is no chance to evaluate the application. So it's clearness about what is the problem, where do we want to go to, and how do we want to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a second point is the potential. So as I said, this is I'm more technologically driven, but if you look further, what could be the impact of such a project? And of course, the best impact would be to have the critical mass and also the a level of or potential level of innovation that gives the chance to apply for InnoSwiss project. So the potential is also important. It not necessarily means or the consequence not necessarily have to be an InnoSwiss project, but there are other opportunities, but there has to be an added value, at least. Has to be perceivable.
Mm-hmm. So basically, with a call, you understand the next best step that a project can undertake, and you also would like to see the potentiality of where this project could lead, yes, be it in the market or be it for a further financing round on a project.
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you very much, Krystof. We come back with some questions later. I'd like now to give the stage to Doris. And I'm very happy, Doris, that you join us tonight. And I think it's good to know a little bit more about your business.
Sure, yeah. I'd like to introduce you to Wood and Field, our startup. And we are on a mission to solve one of the biggest problems regarding food loss in Switzerland, which is whey. And whey is what's left from milk if you make cheese. So if you take out the cheese from milk, the fluid you see there, this is whey. In German, it's called Molke. And we are upcycling whey, meaning we bring it back to the cycle in a high quality product. Our first product is on the market. It's called the Molke Shake. Maybe you can go to the next slide, please. Can you go to the next slide, please?
We have to ask. Yes,
thank you. Thank you. So our first product is on the market. It's called the Molke Shake. It's a lactose-free organic shake rich in protein. And it's available already on the market in Alnatura Bio supermarket, for example. And currently we're developing our business model further with the help of research in a project.
Yes, thank you. And at what stage was your idea when you applied for the research call last year?
So we were in the middle of a concept phase, actually. So we knew already back then we had to improve our business model. We already had this product, actually, but we knew we had to improve the business model, and we needed to make some customer research. So we were looking for ways how we could do that with some help of research partners.
And who was your partner in the research call?
So the partners were the Berner Fachhochschule Havel, so Krystof, who is in that call as well, but also together with Agroscope Liebefeld. So actually it was 2 research partners.
So you had, let's say, a team of 3 that helped you through your questions.
Yeah, actually it was even more people, but 3 organizations were involved. Yeah, it was great.
So you had a very diverse team, at least.
Yeah.
And how did the call support your idea or the development of the project?
So we received the grant, we could make this customer research. So we could perform a focus group with a customer segment we saw potential in. That gave us a lot of ideas what we should do or what we should not do. And yeah, we got some valuable insights. And not only could we perform this focus group, but already some experiments with a product and sensory evaluation. So it was a lot that we got with the grant.
So you really had the opportunity to check your market potential also.
Yep. Yeah.
Very nice. I know from you, Doris, you had support from other organizations in Switzerland and maybe also abroad from what I know. How does the support and the collaboration with Swiss Food Research differ from the others?
Mm-hmm. So we have not had that much support until now, but compared to others, it was really far more unbureaucratic. It was really, an easy process, always a very clear process and with no strings attached. So I felt really free also to lead into the direction we needed to go the project. It was just very helpful.
So what Peter said earlier, that it's really an easy process, you can confirm.
Yes, I can.
Very nice. And now I know that you have projects for the future. So where is your company, or what are you up to with your company?
So with our company, we're again in the middle of a concept phase. We want to bring a new product to market, which is far more advanced also than the Molke shake. And we want to do this with the help of research. So currently we are applying with the research project partners I mentioned before for an InnoSwiss project. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So you are this case where a project went through all the assessment and the potential is seen for further funding. That is really great. Congratulations on that.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. I will hope we are successful.
Now, Cyril, I'd like to ask you some questions. Thank you also for joining this call. And I think it's interesting also for the participants to know what business you are in.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. It's a great pleasure for me to be part of this panel and to have gotten a grant last year from you. So my startup is called Lemna Pro, and basically our goal is to introduce this little green plant that you can see on the screen as a food to Switzerland. This is a very novel food. It's rich in protein, and it's actually a water plant. So it grows on the surface of water bodies, but it's not an algae. So it's not to be confounded with algae, but nevertheless, it's very rich in protein. And yeah, with this plant, we are going to tackle our part of the protein crisis that we are facing on a global scale today.
Yeah, that's very nice and a big challenge as well.
Yeah.
At what stage, I ask you the same question as Doris, but at what stage of your innovation idea did you apply for the call last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you made a very good point. It's a big challenge. So I would still consider us very early stage compared to the challenge we have ahead. And so at the point where we applied for the research call, it was, I would say it was a concept. The idea was there, the idea was quite clear. But in terms of a business, we were really just at the very, very beginning. Mm-hmm. We were at the same time also funded by an ETH Pioneer Fellowship. And so we had first small successes at this point. And yeah, it was basically research was a very important part of the project at that part. And I think also this is where the Swiss Food Research Grant is very valuable because, yeah, as Peter said in the beginning, research money is not always easy to get, and there are also different kinds. And the Swiss Food Research Grant is a very good kind of research money that you can get.
That sounds good. And who was your partner in the project?
My partner was ZHAW, a school of applied research in the canton of Zurich. And so basically we split the grant that we got in half. With half of the money, we built a pilot plant. Maybe you can go to the next slide, Peter, if you want. Exactly. So this is a pilot plant that we built. Our plant, which is called Wolfia, by the way, grows in this container, and so this was very important for us to have a first small scale prototype of the production system in which we wanted to grow the plant. And we have had this plant running for several months, and it gave us a lot of very important insights. So the other half of the grant we invested for doing protein analysis in order to understand how much protein and what kind of proteins we have in our plants.
That sounds really interesting. So I think there are not many grants that are splitted into two. And I really like the way that you have a practical application really in the pilot plant, and also an analytic application or research, knowing more about the quality of the proteins of Wolfia. And Cyril, what is your takeaway from the whole process of the research call?
Yeah, so I would say one of the greatest advantages of the Swiss Food Research Call is that it is small and uncomplicated and rather free, as also Doris said, without a lot of ties. And for projects like this, as a startup, it's really always important to consider not just how much money you get, but also what type of money. Yeah. So for us, this Swiss Food Research Grant was really good to complement the other grant that we already had, because oftentimes research money that you can only invest for salaries, for example, and you could not, for example, build a prototype like this with other research grants. And this is where the Swiss Food Research Call was very important for us, because it enabled us to have money for these materials that are also very, very important for doing the research.
Mm-hmm. So I understand that you got the money, but you also got, let's say, the access to competences that made you build a pilot plant, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, our research partner at ZHAW also had an important role. We were also in contact with them prior to the call, of course, so we also set this up. But the exchange of knowledge and the collaboration with the research partners, of course, is a very crucial point that is worth mentioning too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Cyril, and thank you to everybody else who explained a bit more about their experience. And I think it's about time to open the floor for questions. I can see that the chat is already ongoing. Maybe I start with a question that I've seen several times now, and it has been asked already previous to this call by one interestee. There is one question that's, or somebody asks, how, if all the parties that are involved in the project need to be members of Swiss Food Research? Maybe Peter, you are the best to answer this question.
Yeah. Yes, the answer is pretty short. Yes, they have to be members once the grant is paid. Of course, not for the application, but if the grant is paid, you have to become a member, or you have to be a member. simply because it is within the community of the members. So members help also each other. That's also the idea of the association. And simply for that reason, you have to be a member. Otherwise, you would benefit from money others paid for you. That is the case if you get taxpayers' money, but in this case, it's the case for the membership. So yes, you have to be a member.
And this also applies for startups, right?
Yeah, but for startups, we have also very attractive conditions. So startups in their first year of business. So once they have founded the company in the first year, they are free of charge. So I think that there is no extra burden associated with this membership then.
It's okay. So it's easy also. That's also an easy process to access.
Yeah.
There was one question also about who is already member of Swiss Food Research. And here I'd like to just send you to our webpage, www.swissfoodresearch.ch. You can find all information about the members under the network chapter. Another question that came in is there a deadline for a project to be finished?
I think in your own interest, you should have a deadline. But no, in practical terms, we have several projects which are carried over to the next year. So to us, it doesn't matter whether you use the money this year or next year. Important is that you use it in a sensible manner to develop your idea further, but there is no timeline associated to that. Some grants have the problem that you have to spend the money in the year you receive it. This is not the case here.
So there is first not an expiry date for the grant, as I understand. Yes. And also if, let's say, somebody would win the grant this year, he can also, or the project can also be started in 2021.
Correct.
Very good. So no time schedule on the grants. These were all the questions that we received. Is there any other question out in the participants that maybe wasn't answered so far?
There's a question in the chat asking, does a startup need to be incorporated already in order to apply for the grant? No, you don't have to be incorporated. I think we have also several examples from other startups where they were just having this idea and would like to test this idea further. And based on that, they would then also maybe at the same time decide whether they will found the company or not. So that is fine for us.
So it also means that if it's still an idea stage, it can be an assessment to decide whether to incorporate or not.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can be a Swiss Food Research member, even so you are not, you have not incorporated yet. That is also fine.
Yeah.
And it would be counted as startup. It would not be counted as a natural person.
Okay.
We are a little bit flexible there.
So flexibility on the whole line, I can imagine. There is another question coming in. Is it possible to apply without a confirmed research partner?
That is possible, yeah. So, but you should find then also in a certain time frame, so in a couple of weeks, you should find then a research partner.
And this is
because
something...
the money only goes to a research partner.
Okay, and this is something that Swiss Food Research would help to find as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Another question is coming in. Can I also apply for financing a project idea for a service like a workshop, education, rather than for a product?
The important thing is we fund ideas that can be developed further to a next level in terms of a project or in terms of a research project. So if it would be done with this grant, then this is probably not a right tool. It really depends on. We also have the case that we give some seed money. Then this would not be 10,000 Swiss francs. Then it would be 5,000 Swiss francs. If it is a really interesting topic, we also have this possibility to provide some seed funding. And then it's pretty clear it will not be continued to the next level, but it will help to set up a certain product or a certain business already with that. So this is also a possibility. But we would like to focus really on developing ideas further, so bringing it to the next level. Therefore, it's difficult if it is just about building up a workshop on education.
Thank you, Peter. There's one question of Cedric. You ask, can you be SFR member in that case? I'm not sure whether I understand that question right, and maybe has it been answered already? Could you just give me yes or no?
Yeah, I think it was answered because it referred to the question, is a startup, does it need to be incorporated? And then the next question was, if it is not incorporated, can you become a member? And I said, yes, you can become a member.
Yes, he's confirming that. Thank you very much for replying so fast. I think with an eye on our clock, we have another 2 minutes to finish the session. And I'd like to ask a last question to all the participants, to all the speakers, sorry. For Peter and for Krystof, if you had just one advice to share with applicants, what would that be?
Very simple. Just give it a try. Cool. So it's the effort, as we heard, is not very high, and so give it a try.
Thank you. And you, Peter?
I can only support that. Don't be shy. Just try it. And as I said, we respect your worries, potential worries about confidentiality, but I think we have proven over the past there is no, you can trust that system.
Very good, thank you. So no risk, but no fun too. Then Doris and Cyril, what was the most valuable benefit of the whole process for you?
So I'd maybe like to add one benefit that we hadn't talked about yet. Of course, also being associated with Swiss food research is a great value. So oftentimes I get emails or things from Peter and from you guys, invitations to events, and so also for that sake, it's very great to do it. And yeah, I would also say just give it a try. Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. And Doris?
Yeah, for me it was kind of the same. It was really valuable to building our network further, especially the network with Krystof and the guys from Agroscope. It's extremely valuable to develop the business and our idea further.
Thank you, Doris. This is really a very nice sum up of the whole session. I hope to all participants that all the questions that you had were answered, and that you don't have doubts anymore about applying. So we really are looking forward to receive the applications until Monday next week. So June 15 is the deadline. And you can you find all the application documents on the webpage. The link is also in the chat. And I would like everybody, to thank everybody for the participation, especially to all the speakers. It was really, really great to talk with you about the Swiss Food Research Call. And also thank you very much to all the participants for your time. Have a good evening, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.